Hello everyone, I just want to make a video to clear about some doubts about Curse Explosion. A lot of people have been asking me how Curse Explosion works, and a lot of people don't understand how Curse damage works. So this video is going to explain both. It's going to explain how Curse Explosion works, how Curse damage works, and how you can improve your damage. So first things first, let's talk about Curse Explosion. So the way Curse Explosion works is quite simple. It has a base damage, okay? This that you just saw is the base damage. This part of the Curse Explosion can crit and can heavy. That's why you can see it in many colors, being it orange or like purple, because it can crit and it can heavy. So you can see it just crit and it heavy. That's why it was golden. That's part of the Curse Explosion can crit and can heavy. But the explosion on itself, the Curse Explosion, cannot. So keep that in mind, because a lot of people get confused here. The base damage of the Curse Explosion, the Curse Explosion skill can crit and heavy, but the Curse Explosion, the part that it gets all the curses to do the damage, cannot. So yeah, I know it's mega confusing because of the name of the skill, but I hope you understand this because it's very important. So the base part of the skill, the base damage of the skill can do crits and curse and heavies, but the curse calculation cannot, okay? So putting that very clear. How does the calculation works? That's the next part. It takes the amount of touch of despair that you have, and it gives a bonus of 5%. So you can have up to 3 touches of despair, which will add 15% more curse damage on the explosion, which is very important. The damage itself is calculated by taking the duration of the dot on the enemy times the damage of the dot on the enemy. So for example, if Touch of Despair is doing 100 damage and lasts for 10 seconds, it's gonna be doing 1000 damage, right? Plus the 5%, which I'm not gonna calculate because it's gonna be a mess, times 2. So that's a really important thing. Every dot that you put, every Curse Explosion of the curse itself is always gonna do basically twice the damage. It's always gonna kind of be a heavy. So that means if I'm gonna do 100 damage with touch for 10 seconds that it lasts, it's gonna be doing 1000 damage when it calculates the total, but it's gonna do 2000 damage because it doubles when the Curse Explosion procs. So that's basically the generic idea behind it. Curse Explosion is gonna take your curses, your poison, and your burning into calculation, and it's gonna basically remove everything and cause this damage twice. A very important thing that you're gonna know is that you're gonna cast, and your curses or other poison, whatever, is gonna tick down over time, right? It's gonna go down, and the explosion takes into consideration that time. So if I explode right now, it's only gonna take into consideration this last second, this other tick of the Tevent for the explosion. It's not gonna take into consideration the starting the time that the curse starts, 16 seconds I get on my cast, right? So that's how Curse Explosion works. This should solve a lot of people's doubts. So if that's what you wanted, that's the explanation for Curse Explosion. But let's talk about how curse damage works and how you can increase your curse damage. So the way curse damage works is quite simple. You're gonna have different percentages for different skills, and usually they're gonna have a flat increase. For example, 85% base plus 95, 41% plus 37. Same for Tevent, same for Corrupt Magic Circle with the Deckman Ray, right? This base damage that it takes into consideration is a normalized base damage. What it means it doesn't take into consideration the 245 or the 541 here. It doesn't roll a dice to get this base damage. Your base damage is always going to be the average between those two. So if I have 100 base damage and 200 max damage, my normalized damage is going to be 150. So it's always going to take those 150 for the base damage on the curses. That's why critting on curses is usually irrelevant, because if you crit a curse and you don't crit a curse, it's always going to take the same normalized damage. It's always going to take that 150 that I just said to calculate the damage of your skill. That means if you crit a curse, it's not going to change the damage on the base curse. Does that make sense? Like, if you, since the damage is normalized, your min and max, you critting is not gonna affect it regardless. But it's important to notice that crit is not useless on curses, because you can actually increase your damage by critting curses, but there's the caveat that you're gonna need crit damage increase. So if you have crit damage increase from Wrathful Edge, or for example your Dagger Mastery that has crit damage increase, or for example if you have a set that is gonna be like Imperial or Seekers with the 2 pieces, is gonna increase your crit damage, and the increase of the crit damage is actually gonna affect your curse damage. So the crit without crit damage doesn't do anything basically, but the crit with crit damage is gonna increase your curse damage. So that's important thing so that you learn about curses and crits. The next thing that is gonna increase your curse damage is heavy attacks. And heavy attacks are very confusing because you cannot see them. So if I cast a curse, let's say like here, right? I'm gonna stack 3 stacks of touch, 3 stacks. You can see the curse is doing 1,800 damage. And if I can get a heavy, oh, I got a heavy. You can see it was doing around 3,000 damage. Sorry, it's a bit messy because it proc the hit. But yeah, I'm doing 2,700 here. So you can see I did get a heavy attack. The damage oscillation, by the way, comes because it gets affected by the skill damage over time increase from the sacred, and also from the crit, because I do have crit damage increase from the Wrathful Edge. So that's why there's so much oscillation on the damage, and I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that on the end. But that's one thing that you're gonna know for now, and it's very important. Your curses can heavy. There just is no display for the heavy, so you're never gonna know if you critted the enemy, if you have the enemy with the dot. That has been a big complaint since tier 1, and they just didn't do anything about it, so we just have to live with it. But keep in mind that your curses can crit and heavy. It's just for the crit you have to have crit damage increase, and for the heavy it's gonna just do the 2x, but you're not gonna see that. The other way you can increase your curse damage is by, like I said just right now, increasing your skill damage over time. And the way you can increase your skill damage over time is on the gear. You can have sets of the Chosen Vanquisher, the 2 pieces, that is going to increase by 20%, or the Sacred Repose, which is going to increase by 24%. You cannot combo both of them, just keep that in mind. You have other ways to increase it that comes from your passive, like your Devotion and Emptiness, or even nodes like that's gonna increase your damage over time. So that's one way to increase your curse damage. That's a straight up increase on the dot damage, independent if you crit or heavy. It's just gonna increase your dot damage. The other thing that you can do to increase your dot damage is increase your base and max damage. You can do that by gaining more status or gear that gives you more round status. Every single point here is going to increase your base damage. Some passives that can increase your base damage, and some weapon passives like Birkin that can give you upwards to 30 base damage. So by increasing your base damage, you're going to be increasing your normalized damage, which therefore is going to increase your curse damage. The other thing that you got to keep in mind that you can use to increase your damage is your skill damage boost. Your skill damage boost is going to directly affect how much damage your curse is going to do. And you can increase that by changing your runes if you want to put skill damage boost here, or by using enchanting time is going to increase by 220. So that's another way that you can increase your cursed damage, is by increasing your skill damage boost. So that's basically all the ways that you can increase your curse damage by itself. That's the ways you can increase. So it's crit with crit damage, heavy, base stats, skill damage boost over time, and skill damage boost overall. So those are the ways. Another way that you can increase your curse, not the curse damage itself, but your curse explosion, is by increasing your curse duration. So you can see it's supposed to last only 9 seconds on the skill, but when I cast it lasts upwards to 16 seconds. And that's because I can increase my curse timer with things, for example, Wraith Beacon, they increase by 3.3 seconds. I have other masteries on the one, for example, they increase by 1 second the curse duration. Excuse me. So that's another way that you can increase your damage on the curse explosion, is by increasing the curse duration on your explosion. So those are the 6 ways that comes to my mind right now that you can increase how you can increase your damage. A really important thing about curses is we bypass 2 important things on the meta, on the game right now, which is 3 things if you include it. While curses don't increase with damage flat increase, they also don't get reduced by damage flat decrease. So Bastion, for example, from SNSs that reduce upwards, if I'm not mistaken, to 144 flat damage, are not affected by curses, so our curse just bypass that. Shield block, shield resistance from the SNS is also ignored by curses. That's why we don't build shield penetration. We don't need that because we already bypass the shield resistance from the SNSs. And a very important thing, curse damage, curse explosion on itself bypass links. So that means that if tank links someone, you can just explode the person regardless, because the link is not taking into consideration the curse explosion damage. Not only that, the reason why I recommend our class to kill healers and tanks is because we can one-tap people, right? So that leads to people not healing over time or not being able to react to it. Those are the 4 things that come to my mind of like extra details about curse and curse explosion that you should keep in mind. I already explained how you can increase basically your damage, all the factors that should affect your curse damage and your curse explosion damage. I'm just gonna add an extra note that your curse explosion damage is incremental. That's a terrible word for that, but let me try to explain it. If you have a base damage of 100 on the curse and you heavy, it's gonna do 200. If you have 20% crit damage and you crit, is gonna go from 100 to 120. If you crit and heavy, is gonna take the 120 and doubles it, so it's gonna go to 240. And you gotta remember that the curse explosion is also gonna double that. So you are doubling a lot of things. So you're gonna, if you have your base that is 1x, you double that with heavy, is gonna be 2x. The 2x is gonna become a 4x on the curse explosion, right? Because the curse explosion is gonna already double the damage regardless. And if you, let's say you have 50% curse damage increase, the calculation is gonna be like 1x from base damage, 1.5x from crit, 3x when you heavy the crit, and 6x when you do the curse explosion. So you can see that why you can do some insane nukes with curse explosion is because you can use your crit damage increase with your heavy proc and combo both of them on your curse explosion to get like 6x of the base damage. If you really focus on glass cannons, if you really build something related to glass cannon, you can reach upwards to almost 100% crit damage increase, which is insane. You can get that through like artifact combos, artifact procs, some mastery and passive procs. That's gonna reach, I don't think you can reach 100% extra crit damage bonus. You can reach definitely upwards to 80%, which is almost 2x. So if you go like 1x from the base, then 1.x from the crit, right? Then you go to 3.6x from your heavy and crit, and when you curse explosion, you're gonna be doing 7.2 times your base damage. So it's like a insane like multiplier if you take that into consideration. So that's about it. That's how you can increase your curse damage. That's how your curse explosion damage works. I hope this video helps you to understand more about your class, and I hope you can get some more damage output out there. So if the video was helpful, thanks for watching, subscribe and like, and that's about it. See ya!